A boy stands in the dim candlelight of a workshop, his hands covered in dust, his eyes fixed on the master sculptor shaping marble with a chisel. He is not allowed to touch the tools yet, only to observe, to sweep the floors, to listen in silence as the hammer meets stone. He wants to create, to carve beauty from rock, but the master does not even acknowledge his impatience. The days turn into months, the months into years. Then one day, without a word, the master hands him the chisel. The moment has come. And in that moment, the boy understands, greatness is not granted. It is earned slowly, painfully, through years of unseen effort. This was how Leonardo da Vinci began. This is how every master has begun. Not with talent, not with luck, but with a relentless pursuit of something deeper, something greater. Mastery is not a gift bestowed upon the chosen few. It is a path, walked by those who are willing to dedicate themselves fully, who are willing to learn the rules so they may one day break them. It is the process of turning raw curiosity into deep understanding, of transforming blind practice into effortless intuition. It is the key to unlocking the highest potential of the human mind. And yet most will never reach it, not because they are incapable, but because they turn back too soon, mistaking the long road for an impassable barrier. But those who persist, those who submit to the process, will find themselves stepping into a world few ever glimpse, the world of the true masters. Every journey begins with a whisper, a spark, a pull toward something that cannot be ignored. It is the moment when a young Albert Einstein holds a magnetic compass in his hand and wonders why the needle moves as if pulled by an unseen force. It is the moment when a child loses themselves in the pages of a book, in the notes of a melody, in the movements of an athlete, feeling an unspoken connection to something larger than themselves. This is the first sign of mastery, the calling. But the world is filled with voices urging you to ignore it. Parents, teachers, society, they push toward practicality, toward security, toward paths that are predictable and safe. The artist is told to become an accountant. The curious child is steered toward stability instead of adventure. And so most people forget. They bury their inclinations beneath obligations and expectations, convincing themselves that their dreams were childish fantasies. But those who listen, who hold on to that original fascination, take the first step toward mastery. For Charles Darwin, that step came in the form of an invitation, a position on a ship, the HMS Beagle, set to sail around the world. At 22, he was no genius. He was an average student with no clear direction. But for 5 years, he traveled, collecting specimens, taking notes, observing the natural world with an obsessive curiosity. He did not yet know that these observations would one day lead to the theory of evolution. He did not yet realize that he was laying the foundation for a revolution in science. He was simply immersed, consumed by the process of learning. This is the second phase of mastery, the apprenticeship. The world will tell you that intelligence is what separates the great from the ordinary. But this is a lie. The true difference is patience. The willingness to be a beginner, to submit to something larger than yourself, to endure the long years of silent learning before daring to create something new. But learning is not enough. Time alone does not create mastery. 10,000 hours of repetition will not make you great if those hours are spent mindlessly. True mastery comes from deliberate practice, from breaking down a skill into its smallest parts, from pushing beyond the edge of comfort, from seeking discomfort rather than avoiding it. Mozart did not simply play the piano for 10,000 hours. He studied every composer before him, dissected their work, experimented, refined, adapted. Every hour was intentional. Every mistake was examined, corrected, used as a stepping stone toward something greater. The mediocre practice. The masters refine. And yet, even the greatest minds did not walk this path alone. Behind every master stands another, a mentor, a guide, a figure who has already walked the path and left behind markers for those who follow. Benjamin Franklin had no formal education, no university degree. But as a young apprentice in a printing press, he watched, he learned, he absorbed. Later, he sought out the great minds of London, studied their methods, took their knowledge and made it his own. The world praises independence, the self-made genius, but this too is an illusion. Every master was once an apprentice. Every great thinker learned from those before them. The difference lies in what they did with that knowledge, whether they remained bound by the rules or used them as a foundation for something new. And then comes the shift, the moment when imitation turns to creation, when the years of study begin to dissolve into something more fluid, more instinctive. This is the third phase, the creative breakthrough. The rules are no longer rigid. The skill is no longer conscious. It moves from the mind to the body, from thought to instinct. A scientist no longer sees formulas, they see patterns in the universe. A musician no longer reads notes, they feel melodies before they are played. A chess master no longer calculates moves. They sense the game unfolding as if glimpsing the future. This is the power of intuition, not a mystical force, but the result of years of deep immersion, of the mind forging unseen connections until thought becomes action without hesitation. But the final test is not skill. It is resistance. The world does not welcome change. It does not reward those who disrupt, who challenge, who create something new. The greatest masters faced rejection before recognition, exile before acceptance. Galileo was condemned. Van Gogh died in obscurity. Tesla was ridiculed. But mastery is not for the approval of others. It is for those who cannot help but create, who would rather fail on their own terms than succeed by playing small. The final step is to persist, to trust the process, to know that mastery is not a destination but a way of being. And so, the apprentice becomes the master. The student becomes the teacher. The hands that once trembled around the chisel now move with effortless precision. And one day, when another young apprentice enters the workshop, eyes wide with wonder, the cycle begins again. Because mastery is not about talent. It is not about luck. It is about the choice to walk the path when others turn back. The choice to endure the years of struggle, to embrace the process, to commit fully to something greater. It is a path few will take. But for those who do, the rewards are beyond measure. If you like this summary, consider subscribing to our channel. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating more engaging content.